So you guys know that election's coming up in 2020, and the Democratic Party has different viewpoints on what the healthcare system reform should be. But before I talk about that, when we hear the word bankruptcy, a lot of times we associate that with somebody with like poor credit, someone that doesn't know how to manage money very well. But actually, since 2007, the number one reason for bankruptcy is due to medical expenses. So our healthcare and the cost of healthcare is so expensive that people are literally going bankrupt. They're mortgaging their house. They don't have enough money and no way to pay for their medical expenses, which is insane. I feel like it's not talked about a lot. Like I said before, a lot of times when you say bankruptcy or someone that's bankrupt, it means they're poor managing money.
Yeah.
But the truth really is, what's causing people to be bankrupt is the sheer expense of healthcare. Those hospital costs, cost of medications, and that just all ties into this one giant, hole of debt that people get lost into.
Do you know the statistic on the amount of percentage of people that are getting bankrupted because of healthcare?
It's in the 30s, 30s or 40%.
30-40%.
Out of all bankruptcies, yeah.
Wow.
That's pretty crazy. And it might even be up to 60. So it depends. I looked at a few articles, and some said 30, some said 40, and like one or two said 60, which is insane. And there's multiple ways of getting bankrupt, but medical expenses is number one.
And it's interesting because some people, like let's just say you're type 1 diabetic and you can't afford insulin, like these people think that using less insulin and injecting themselves with less units because they could hold over that insulin, it'll last longer, is saving money, but it's really ruining your health. And a lot of people don't realize that, and then they come in the hospital and we're chopping off toes and metatarsal, below the knee amputations because the sugar literally, ruined their nerves and everything else.
Yeah. So why is healthcare so expensive here in the United States? Well, the United States spends more than any other country on healthcare. In 2017, it was $2.5 trillion went into healthcare, and in 2020, they're predicting to be in between 6 and 10 trillion. So in 2017, it was about 10,000 per person that they spent on healthcare. And we have suboptimal results. Like we're like 11th in the world with our healthcare outcomes and just our healthcare system, compared to countries that are spending half of that are like 5th, 3rd, 4th. I believe this like number 2 country with the best healthcare. I think it's like I don't know if it's Switzerland or Sweden. It's like a smaller country, but they spent like 8,000 compared to our 10,000, and they have better outcomes than us, which is. I mean, if you think about it, it's a smaller country, so it's easier to deal with compared to the U.S., but you would think with all the money that we're spending and throwing into healthcare, we'd get, optimal results. We're paying a pretty penny, a high premium for all this healthcare, and we're not even like top 10 in the world, which is pretty breathtaking. Another reason why it's so expensive is administrative costs. So we don't have a one-player system. So each health network has their own way of doing things, and just the communication between health networks costs money. Each health network has different way to do payroll, different way they do billing. The privacy and security within these systems also varies between them. Like my hospital has a different system than yours. Even the charting is different. But charting isn't really that big of a deal because it's easily implemented. But the fact that the administrative costs are so big with communications between our hospitals and sending my information to your hospital is just so costly because there's no bridge between them.
And it happens so often when you get a patient from a different, hospital that we've never taken care of, and the doctor is like, well, what's going on with this guy? What's his history? What kind of tests have he done? Because why should I do a CT scan if he had got a CT scan done 2 weeks ago and he had surgery at, let's just say, Good Sam, and now he's at Christ, right?
Exactly.
So those are all because of universal health care, because there isn't universal health care, like we're eating up all these costs, just like you said, for all these administrative issues.
Right. And we have all these health systems, and patient usually comes with what? A paper chart. They have a stack of paper information that's not even in the computer. And physicians look it over, and they end up running the same test on them anyways. Another reason why it's so expensive is Americans, they go to hospital before they would see a doctor. So that's another issue with prevention. A lot of times we give poor education, and people don't really want to see a doctor. They think health is something that should be tackled once it arises. So instead of me checking my blood pressure now, I'm just gonna deal with it whenever I get a heart attack or like a stroke. When things get bad, that's when people tend to see a doctor, but that's when it's too late. They got to go to the hospital, usually the emergency room.
Yeah, we in America have neglected prevention of, and prevention of is probably the most cost effective treatment and way to reduce healthcare costs, and we don't do it. We should be doing like free healthcare screenings, like we did it even for nursing school, where we did free blood pressure checks on
Yeah.
people and just kind of talk about blood pressure. Like that should be implemented on a big scale in America because that's going to help, and it's not done. It's all CT scans, visits, lab tests, and oh, take a pill, and that's just healthcare in America, man. It's sad.
It's sad because there's no profit margin for it. There's no profit in prevention. Like I could be a doctor, I could tell you, hey, go on a run and you could lose some weight. Or I'll just prescribe you a pill that you pay for. And then I get like a kickback for it or a percentage of that money, which is crazy. Like something simple like that, like, hey, go on a run, change your diet. That doesn't happen. It's usually like a pill. Someday you got to pay for a program, even like workout programs. Like people buy these workout programs and they end up not doing them and they waste their money, or they do end up doing them and then like it turns out that I could have probably just thought about the same thing and done it my way and would have had the same results.
Yeah, and also all these drugs, tests, and services that the hospital provides. All these physicians are like scared for getting sued and everything, right? So they want to I think they overdo things. They overtest, they over scan people. We get too much radiation, and for what? It's not necessary, but the doctor wants to cover all the points because let's just say something happens, God forbid, he's getting the one pointed at, and they're gonna take the dent, because I feel like this is like a new thing, right? Like we like to sue people for anything nowadays.
It's crazy to think about. Like when you go see a doctor, a physician, like 99 times out of 100, the physician has your best health in his mind. He wants to do everything in his power so that you come out healthy and not sick and not diseased. And it's crazy because people take advantage of that, and they take advantage of people's kindness and people's need to help and certain things like that, where they're gonna find loopholes or they're gonna try and beat the system, where they're gonna trick somebody into making a mistake or not doing something that they should have been done, and then they get sued for it.
It'd be funny if you tell this little story about the Oakland guy that came in for the stroke, man.
Oh man, yeah, the Oakland guy. So I had a patient. We were at like a stroke center for the most part for our trip in Oakland, our travel nursing gig, and so we had this patient. He was a reverend from, I think it was Louisiana or somewhere, and he came in with stroke symptoms, and first he started having left side weakness. And then he was admitted to like a general medical surgical floor just for observation. And then he presented with like a full-on stroke, facial droop, left side weakness. All that did a CT. It was negative. They weren't sure what's going on, so they just took him to the ICU. And I happen to have this gentleman, nice guy, but I did my NIHS scale every hour I was doing it at that point, and he failed all facial droop. All left side was drooped. Couldn't move his left hand, left leg, nothing. Couldn't do anything for himself. Mumbled, and then 6 o'clock came around. He had his breakfast or whatever, and all of a sudden, I want to sign myself out AMA. How can you sign yourself out AMA?
That means against medical advice, guys.
Yeah, so he's gonna sign paperwork and he wants to leave. I'm like, how are you gonna sign yourself out AMA? You can't even walk. You can't even stand. You can't even move your left side. Your speech is slurred. And it was slurred. Now you're talking fine, but move your left side. Able to move everything. Stands up, jolly guy. I'm like, all right. I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like this guy faked a stroke for like literally like 24 hours.
Did he get TPA as well?
He got TPA as well.
Wow.
Yeah, when he came into ER, I forgot to mention that, but he got TPA. And then this guy faked his whole stroke for like 24 hours, just so he could eat and just so he could have somewhere to sleep. And I kind of had a feeling that he was lying because at around like 2 o'clock, I came in, like his left leg was bent, left arm was bent. I think he fell asleep, and subconsciously moved his left side. And I was like, all right, this is how it's going to be, whatever. I had a feeling he was faking him. That means you get the 12 hours or 8-hour shift done with, and then we'll go home. And this guy, 6 o'clock in the morning, signs file AMA, walks out, gives me attitude. I asked him literally, hey, do you have all your belongings? Because, you can leave now, your taxi's here. He's like, yeah. I'm not. He said he's not stupid. He called me stupid for asking him, and then the dude forgets his check.
That's so funny.
Dude forgets his like $1,000 check they're supposed to cash. Man, like this is like it's funny to think about.
And this is healthcare sometimes.
Right.
We spend money on these people.
Right,
like,
and then I
literally.
asked my charge nurse like who covers the cost in that case because I never had a patient walk out AMA after he just got TPN and supposedly had a stroke. And he's like nothing. The hospital's gonna cover the cost. Like it's like shit. That's pretty expensive, man. I'm not sure how much TPA costs, but I'm sure it's thousands of dollars. We don't give it out like candy.
Right.
And this guy took out an ER bed, a medical surgical bed, and an ICU bed, all in with 24-hour period.
And I think the average price for an ICU, but I don't know. I think in Illinois it's like 10 grand a night.
Yeah.
So this guy is eating up costs.
Yeah, it's insane. And then he's gonna give me attitude. Why I'm taking my time getting his paperwork together. Man, go home, dude.
I mean, sometimes in nursing, man, you have to laugh at the things you see because it's just the funniest thing, man.
And it's funny because like I closed the curtain, he got dressed, came out with a blue suit and a white top hat.
Damn.
I'm like, this guy, dude, Reverend right over here or whatever his name was, man. It's funny guy. What a goofball.
That's funny.
Yeah, but it pissed me off a little bit though. Yeah.
So
And he came back too for that check. I wish I would have gave it to him, but I didn't give it to him. Like the one of the managers gave it to him. I was like, you feel better that quick, huh?
that's sad.